Good morning. And it gives me immense pleasure to say, welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Providence. I didn't think that would affect me as much as it did. So I have just a few things to say before I turn things over to Kim Noble, who will be running the show this morning. Maintaining the safety and health of all in this beloved community has kept us apart physically, but not spiritually. Here are the guidelines for demonstrating our love for each other. All of us will wear masks and maintain social distancing. Speakers at the microphone will be removing their masks because it's hard to hear us otherwise. There are extra masks at the door, and we've made accommodations for people with disabilities unable to wear masks and children under 5. Note that the order of service says children under 12, but that's a typo. Children 5 and over should be wearing masks. And we have a number of children here, and they're all masked, and so are the adults in general. Yes, all of us. Okay. We're sitting in every other row. So if you see a row that's roped off or taped off, that's because don't sit there. And we are encouraging people to sit with their families or the folks that they came with, or your COVID pod people. And the balconies are closed unless they're needed for overflow. The doors and windows will remain open for circulation. All the music is instrumental. We won't be doing any hymn singing for the time being. Food and drink after the service will resume later in the church year when safety permits. To honor comfort levels, we offer hugs, handshakes, and physical shows of affection only with consent. Please ask first. And in fact, that's a good guideline anytime, anywhere. And again, welcome, very much welcome to First Unitarian Church of Providence, where we love beyond belief. One more thing I just realized is in a later note, but I should say it now, and it will be repeated at the end. When the service is over, please exit, with reasonable speed by the nearest door. It's best if we don't hang around and congregate in the meeting house. And we will encourage people to greet each other out on the lawn, on the front lawn, where there is plenty of room for Jim, we're suggesting that people sit in every other row. Thank you. And one other note for the folks who are watching us on YouTube, we're using a new sound technology method this week, something we've never done before because we've never had the house sound system on while we're trying to feed to YouTube. So we are hoping that you are getting a good quality sound transmission, and welcome to all of you also. And I now turn things over to Kim Noble. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't know about you all, but for me in the last 15 months, among the many things I look forward to every Sunday morning was some version of Neil Bartholomew's face in my life. Could I ask everyone for a round of applause, and maybe even a standing up round of applause, no cheers, for Neil this morning. to welcome you to our service today. Whether you're with us here in the meeting house or watching on YouTube. It feels wonderful to be here and exciting to be offering you a service of poems, our favorite poems. Our simple goal is to share some of our favorites and offer a bit of ourselves in the process. And we hope you'll find something that nourishes you or challenges you or makes you smile or makes you laugh. Greg Moses is providing the music this morning. Thank you, Greg. Greg has selected 3 beautiful short piano pieces from the American composer Edward MacDowell to help weave together our poems. Greg told us that he was inspired to select the pieces by MacDowell because the composer spent some of his happiest and most fruitful creative time in the summers on a farm not far from here in Peterborough, New Hampshire. He was inspired by poetry and by nature in this beautiful season in New England. Let us now center our hearts and minds as we begin our worship together. And now please join me in unison reading as we light our chalice. This light burns also in our hearts, and it lights our path towards harmony, justice, and hope for all.
Poetry by Pablo Neruda. And it was at that age poetry arrived in search of me. I don't know how, I don't know where it came from winter or a river. I don't know how or when. No, they were not voices. They were not words nor silence. but from a street I was summoned. From the branches of night, abruptly from the others, among violet fires, or returning alone, there I was without a face, and it touched me. I did not know what to say. My mouth had no way with names. My eyes were blind. And something started in my soul. Fever or forgotten wings. And I made my own way, deciphering that fire. And I wrote the first faint line. Faint, without substance, pure nonsense, pure wisdom of someone who knows nothing. And suddenly I saw the heavens unfastened and open. Planets, palpitating plantations, shadow perforated, riddled with arrows, fire and flowers, the winding night, the universe. And I, infinitesimal being, drunk with the great starry void, likeness, image of mystery, felt myself a pure part of the abyss. I wheeled with the stars. My heart broke loose on the wind.
We now share the joys and sorrows of the people in our congregation as they've been written in the book in the back of the meeting house and offered otherwise for our service today. Our partner church in Transylvania carved the beautiful candlestick and pedestal for the large candle from which we light all of our individual candles of joy and sorrow. And our first candle today is a candle of joy for the opportunity to be together in person in this meeting house after such a long time of being apart. Friends, let us rest in gladness that we have each other to share in our joys and sorrows. Let us now take a moment to prepare for prayer and meditation by taking a few deep breaths together and opening our hearts to the invitation of Start Close In, a poem by David White. We'll then take a moment for silent meditation. If you've lost someone close to you during the past year, you're welcome to stand or raise your hand during the period of silence in recognition of your loss. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To hear another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes an intimate, private ear that can then really listen to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble and focused. Start close in. Don't make that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take.
struck then by his expressions of ecstasy, not only in moments of joy and beauty, but also in longing, pain, and even the mundane. I return to this poem time and again to remind myself of self-compassion and acceptance. The Guest House by Rumi. This, being human, is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing, invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
It is possible that things will not get better than they are now, or have been known to be. It is possible that we are past the middle now. It is possible that we have crossed the great water without knowing it, and stand now on the other side. Yes, I think that we have crossed it. Now, we are being given tickets. And they are not tickets to the show we had been thinking of, but to a different show, clearly inferior. Check again. It is our own name on the envelope. The tickets are to that other show. It is possible that we will walk out of the darkened hall without waiting for the last act. People do. Some people do. But it is probable that we will stay seated in our narrow seats all through the tedious denouement to the unsurprising end, riveted, as it were, spellbound by our own imperfect lives, because they are lives and because they are ours.
Love calls me to the things of this world. But he feared that loving this world too much would distance you from God. And I feel just the opposite, that the world is indeed the place to experience God, or whatever you call divine. That it is also a place of fault and error only inspires me to love it more. Imagine you were waking up to the neighbor's laundry outside dancing in the wind, and that you were between sleep and waking, between illusion and reality. What the poet Richard Wilbur does with this image is remarkable. That part of us, which we call the soul, can imagine this world all awash with angels. And yet we must wake to the imperfect world with its flaws, which we love, where we struggle to be human. And this world is as sacred as a vision of heavenly angels. Love calls us to the things of this world. The eyes open to a cry of pulleys, and spirited from sleep, the astounded soul hangs for a moment, bodiless and simple as false dawn. Outside the open window, the morning air is all awash with angels. Some are in bed sheets, some are in blouses, some are in smocks. But truly, there they are. Now they are rising together in calm swells of halcyon feeling, filling whatever they wear with the deep joy of their impersonal breathing. Now they are flying in place, conveying the terrible speed of their omnipresence, moving and staying like white water. And now, of a sudden, they swoon down into so rapt a quiet that nobody seems to be there. The soul shrinks from all that it is about to remember, from the punctual rape of every blessed day, and cries, "Oh, let there be nothing on earth but laundry, nothing but rosy hands and the rising steam and clear dances done in the sight of heaven." Yet, as the sun acknowledges with a warm look the world's hunks and colors, the soul descends once more in bitter love to accept the waking body, saying now in a changed voice as the man yawns and rises, "Bring them down from their ruddy gallows. Let there be clean linen for the backs of thieves. Let lovers go fresh and sweet to be undone. And the heaviest nuns walk in the pure floating of dark habits, keeping their difficult balance." In this most unusual time, and with gratitude for being able to be together again in person, it is important to remember that the work to fulfill the mission of our church continues, and our staff continues to work harder than ever to support our connections as a community and our efforts to create justice in a wider community have never been more vital. The need for us to fund these efforts is even more important than ever. So whether you are here in the meeting house or participating in this service on YouTube, we ask that you give so that our work can continue. As always, thank you all for all that you give, all that you do, and all that you are.
Well, this poem is The Black Cat. And I've always enjoyed it, and when it looked like it was okay to read it here on Sunday service, I thought, what does this thing really mean? And it turns out it's written by a Unitarian minister from Santa Barbara, California, Kenneth Collier. And I decided this is what it meant to me. It's a whimsical poem, but I think that the idea of grace comes into play here. Don't ask me to define grace, but I think it's what's being celebrated. And I just decided to say that it means that grace happens. Anyway, the black cat. We try to find a silent black cat in an empty, dark room. We blindfold ourselves. Maybe blindness will help us see in the dark. We grow badly this way and that, and finally declare with conviction, there is no cat. Then we sit, still and silent, and the black cat crawls into our lap and purrs. And now I've got a few invitations here. Which I should have read first, right? Our service next Sunday in person will be led by Melissa Gillette. She will present time travel, recovery, and restitution. Melissa's talk will lead us on a journey through science fiction, and faith, exploring how time travel relates to social and environmental justice. We look forward to seeing you then. Please also check the First Year Times, our new weekly email newsletter that is the single source for news, events, and everything that is happening at First Unitarian. First Year Times is sent by email to all members and friends of this community who sign up to receive it. You can access each weekly issue, sign up to get it, delivered to your inbox on the church website, or fill out a guest registry form at the welcoming table in the meeting house. Where's the welcoming table? Anybody? Oh, it's over there in the back, where Jen is. Finally, as we come to the end of this service, please leave by the exit closest to where you are sitting. We invite you to greet each other on the front lawn where there's space and fresh air, keeping each other safe. And now, our membership coordinator, Jen Nardone, has an announcement.
Hello everyone, nice to see everyone. I will be on the front steps for any newcomers who would like to sign up guest registry and get our emails and have any questions. See you there.
This is really great. I have been a nature lover all my life, but in the past year and a half, the natural world has been even more important. Nature has been my respite from the stress of life with COVID. It has brought me peace of mind. It has kept me sane. And I imagine that's what it's been like for many of you. So with that in mind, I read The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair of the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lay down where the wood drake rests, in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Now please join me in Child's closing, which is written in your order of service. We carry the flame of peace, love, and hope until we meet again.